everybody, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. I am really glad you are here with me today. Whether it's your first time or whether you've been listening to this channel for a while, watching it and listening to these stories. I love the DJ Dillon series, which is by Lee Roddy. I read them to my boys, my two younger boys, when they were little, and they loved them, and so did I. So even though those boys of mine now are all grown up and with children of their own, I wanted to get to read them to some people again, so I am. So I'm already on the fifth book, almost near the end of the fifth book in the DJ Dillon series, and it is Mad Dog of Lobo Mountain. So, if you remember yesterday, it was Disaster on the Mountain. DJ had set fire to the brush pile, trying to get help for Roger, because Roger's unconscious in a diabetic coma. But suddenly, after he lit that, the winds began blowing as the thunderstorm rolled in, and DJ thought he was stomping out all the embers that were blowing everywhere, but when he turned around, the roof is on fire, and Roger and Hero are inside that cabin. So, I'm going to start chapter 12, Help from on High. DJ had never run so fast in his life. In seconds, he was across the yard and through the cabin door. Hero leaped up to greet him. "Out!" DJ commanded, pointing through the open door. "Outside, now!" Surprised at the sharpness in DJ's tone, the hair puller lowered his ears, tucked his stub tail tight against his body, and scooted out the door. The boy raced across the room and leaped down into the lean-to. In one quick movement, he bent over Roger and shook his bare shoulders. "Roger, Roger, wake up! Wake up!" The little boy's head rolled loosely in DJ's grip. He picked up the unconscious boy, but Roger's 60 pounds of weight made DJ stagger. DJ almost tripped stepping up into the main cabin, and Roger's loosely dangling arms caught on the door. Still, DJ managed to stumble across the floor and out the door. There, DJ was forced to ease his burden, burden's what he's packing, which is Roger, down in the dirt for a moment. But DJ could smell the smoke from the burning roof. He thought he could hear fire crackling and snapping, but his own desperate breath made it hard to be sure. He was looking at the fire on the roof when the flames suddenly shot straight out from the attic. "Lord, help!" DJ cried, hooking his hands under Roger's armpits. DJ desperately tugged. Stepping backwards, the unconscious boy's body slid across the open ground, his bare heels dragging in the dust. Hero got excited at the unusual commotion. He ran back to DJ and began barking and jumping towards Roger's torn and dirty cutoffs. "No, Hero, down!" DJ's sharp voice again drove the little dog back into uncertainty. The mountain boy didn't slow up. He backed rapidly away from the cabin as the whole place was quickly engulfed in bright yellow flames. Rebuffed again, Hero turned his excitements against the other dog. Hero ran towards the trap, barking furiously. The strange dog bit viciously at the wire enclosure, trying to get out to answer Hero's challenge. DJ saw some of the heavy metal gauge mesh had been bent and a small opening was being made. "No, Hero!" DJ cried again, still dragging Roger's limp body well away from the burning shanty. "Come here!" Again, the scroungy little mutt dropped his ears, tucked his stub tail unsure why he couldn't do anything to please DJ. The boy barely noticed, for his eyes skittered around the disaster he had just created. The brush pile was one long mound of intense fire. Yellow-red flames leaped 20 feet or more in the air. Most of the dense brownish-gray smoke rolled upward towards the overcast sky, but some smoke twisted across the yard, choking the boy. He coughed hard and finally stopped to rub his stinging eyes. The cabin's roof began to buckle in the middle, breaking off small pieces of burning debris. It was sucked up by the wind and carried through the air towards the downwind trees and brush. If those caught fire, flames would roar through the whole forested mountainside. "Oh no," DJ moaned, lowering Roger's small body to the ground. "What have I done?" He heard the approaching drone of a single plane, even above the fire's roar. DJ glanced upwards, checking the sky. He turned rapidly in his tracks until he saw a tiny speck. "There!" He pointed across the treetops downwind from the brush pile. "The air commander. He's come to check out the smoke. See him, hero?" DJ dragged Roger's limp body to the place that was fairly clear of smoke. DJ lowered the little boy's shoulders to the ground. DJ looked at the sky and jumped up and down. He's jumping up and down. He waved frantically and was calling, "Hey, hey, we're over here, down here." For a second, DJ thought the plane was going to fly on without seeing him. He tried yelling and waving again, but his voice broke off as some smoke curled around him, toward him, and he began coughing in spasms. It left him weak, with his eyes burning, but DJ just looked up as the light plane's orange-tipped wings wiggled. The aircraft went in a sharper bank, it was tilting, and back again, wings tipping up and down to signal that they had seen him. "They've seen us!" DJ cried, rubbing his smarting eyes and bending to pick Roger's shoulders again. "Hero, they've seen us. They'll radio for help. It's going to be all right." DJ glanced back at the unconscious boy. The ground smoke was getting much worse. DJ told himself furiously, "I've got to get Roger farther away, out in the open, so a helicopter can land. It can't land close to the fire. Hero, stay close." DJ hooked his hands under Roger's armpits and stumbled backwards, dragging Roger past the intense heat of the brush pile, moving into the wind. DJ coughed hard and wiped his eyes on his shoulders. Wow, wiped his eyes on his shoulders? I guess like this. But he did not stop or let go of Roger. It was hard going, but gradually DJ pulled Roger farther away from the fire and close to the southeastern line of evergreens. Roger's bare heels made little trails in the dirt. Hero kept close to DJ's feet, sneezing at the dense smoke in his nose. When DJ reached the edge of the clearing, right against the trees, he stopped to cough and catch his breath. Through bleary, smarting eyes, the boy glanced up into the sky. The wind died down suddenly. Through the sky was darker and more threatening now. The air commander had climbed well above the fire, obviously waiting for the aerial tankers to arrive so they could be directed on their run and dump. That's when they would dump the retardant down there, fire retardant. Suddenly, DJ heard a heavier beat in the air. He spun around, glancing in the glowing sky until he located the helicopter. It was sleek and fast, skimming the treetops, sending their slender branches into wild spasms as the wind from the overhead blade rushed upon them. "They're coming! Hero, they're coming!" The mounted boy let out a wild yell and jumped up and down, waving his hands over his head. He cupped his hands and yelled, though he knew the people in the chopper. They couldn't hear him. "Hurry! Please hurry!" The aircraft swung upwind away from the fire and smoke. The whirlybird, it's another name for a helicopter, settled in the open ground fairly close to the southeastern stand of trees. That was some distance from where DJ had left Roger stretched out on the ground. The chopper's overhead blades stirred up dust in a wild storm. DJ closed his eyes and spun away to protect his face, but not before he recognized the blue and gold insignia of the California Highway Patrol. The helicopter's engines changed sounds. DJ turned slowly and carefully opened his eyes. A stocky technician leapt from the aircraft to the ground. He wore a short-sleeved summer California Highway Patrol uniform with a gold helmet and a visor. Visor would be the part that sticks out. He pushed that up with his left hand and carried a jump bag in the other. He wore a flight vest of olive drab with many pockets containing first aid medications. The officer doubled over and ran towards DJ. He had to bend over so he wouldn't get hit by those helicopter blades. With Hero barking excitedly at his heels, the boy dashed to meet the man. "Boy," DJ cried, "I'm glad you're here." He pointed. "Help that little kid, I can't wake him up." The stocky officer bent so his gold helmet glistened in front of DJ's eyes. "You okay?" "Yeah, but Roger's not." The technician spoke quickly. "I've got to take his vital signs and get him stabilized while the pilot shuts down the aircraft. You stay here. Keep your dog with you unless the pilot tells you differently." Then he ran towards Roger. DJ was almost trembling with fear and excitement as he listened to the helicopter's engine sink into a whisper. The overhead blades slowly stopped turning. The pilot stepped out of the plastic bubble and dashed towards DJ. The boy saw the pilot was about 6 feet tall. He wore a full uniform with a helmet and a holstered gun. He ran up to DJ and Hero and stooped over to look into the boy's eyes. "What have we got, son?" Quickly, DJ explained. The pilot interrupted and stood up. "That's the lost kid? The one with diabetes?" DJ nodded and started to explain more, but the pilot interrupted. "You stay right here. I've got to tell the technician about the diabetic coma. That takes different emergency treatment than most cases. Then we've got to get them out of here. That fire's too close, and the storm's about to hit us." The scruffy hair puller whined and thrust his muscle against DJ's pant legs. The boy bent and gave his dog a reassuring pat on the shoulder while the two officers worked over the still, small form of Roger Spinks. DJ groaned. "Ugh, I hope he's going to be all right, but I'm in terrible trouble, Hero. Terrible, terrible trouble." The mutt licked the boy's hands as if to comfort DJ. "Oh," DJ said, "I almost forgot." He tipped his head up towards the sky. "Thanks, Lord. Thank you for bringing those men, and please let them save Roger." The pilot soon ran back past DJ and Hero. Without stopping, the officer called, "He's almost stabilized. We've got to get the longboard for him. You stay put." A longboard is something that they will lay him on and be able to strap him so that he won't fall off. DJ nodded and watched as the pilot reached into the back seat area of the helicopter. In seconds, he sprinted back carrying something that looked like an ironing board with straps. As he passed the boy and the dog, the pilot called, "Follow me, you can help." "I'm coming," DJ replied, leaping to his feet and snapping his fingers for Hero to follow. When DJ reached Roger, the technician had inserted a needle with a long plastic tube into the arm of the unconscious boy. "Here," the technician said, turning to DJ, "hold this IV for me, please." That would be the bag that has the medicine that's going to drip down that hose and into Roger. "Keep it up so the saline solution will run down. He's dehydrated." That's common in a diabetic coma. Saline solution would be water with a little salt and some other things in that we need to live. We normally our body makes it when we drink things and that, but Roger's been unconscious for who knows how long. DJ lifted the clear, soft plastic bottle above his head, careful not to pull the tube too tightly and jerk the needle out of Roger's arm. Hero seemed to think DJ was holding up something to jump at, like a ball. Hero started leaping up to reach it. "No," the boy said with less firmness than earlier. "No, Hero, down. That's a good dog." DJ watched as the officer strapped Roger to the board. Then together they lifted him. The technician said, "We're going to run to the chopper. You run with us. Stay close with that IV." The boy nodded. The two officers hurried towards the helicopter, supporting the longboard with its stiff figure on it. DJ stayed even with them while Hero trotted at his heels. The pilot called without looking around. "When we get to the chopper, you get in the left front seat and strap yourself in, you understand? My dog. What do you do with my dog?" "He'll have to ride in the back on the floor with the technician and the little boy." DJ had never been that close to a helicopter. He handed the IV bag over to the pilot. Then DJ ran around the front of the aircraft to the left side. He crawled into the bubble-like area with the pilot's instrument panel to the right. DJ twisted to look behind him. The men lifted the unconscious boy and placed his board on the gurney so it was crossways in the plane. The technician scrambled in after Roger, moving among the emergency equipment and settling into the rear seat. "My dog!" DJ cried. "Don't worry," the pilot called. He bent out of sight and stood up again with Hero in his arms. "Kid, make your dog lay down and be still." DJ nodded and spoke to his dog. Hero stretched out beside the gurney and looked up at DJ as the technician strapped himself in too. The pilot jumped into the right front seat beside DJ. "You buckled up, son?" DJ could only nod. The pilot's hand moved rapidly, hitting switches and controls. The chopper's engines whined as they revved up. "Here we go," the pilot cried. The sleek helicopter leapt into the air, giving DJ a funny feeling in his stomach. He saw the trees drop away below the chopper as it climbed higher and rapidly into the threatening gray skies. The boy caught a glint of something off to his right. He quickly made out two fast-moving airplanes boring in towards the fire, well above the line of evergreen trees. "Look!" the mountain boy cried, pointing. "I see them," the pilot answered. "Aerial tankers to put out the fire." DJ wanted to cheer as the twin-engine airplane with its high tail dipped toward the fire. The plane flew low and leveled out. DJ saw the lean-to collapse upon itself. The rest of the cabin was totally engulfed in flames. Then the first aerial tanker released a sheet of pink retardant. It cascaded prettily down on the shack and smothered out the fire. It went out. "Wow," the boy cried, turning to the pilot. "Did you see that?" DJ didn't wait for an answer. He turned to look below. Whew, my dog startled me. Below at the scene, rapidly falling behind him. Well out of the smoke and safe from the fiery brush pile, the strange dog was still struggling in the trap. DJ saw it look up as the second plane dumped its load on the brush pile. The flames vanished. The fires were out. Then DJ couldn't see anymore. The helicopter banked sharply, so it's turning sharply, climbing high above the trees. Then it leveled out and streaked away, racing the storm, racing to save a little unconscious boy's life. DJ could see the pilot's lips moving and guessed he was talking to the rear seat technician by radios in their helmets. However, a moment later, DJ heard the technician radio the hospital. "Timber Gold Memorial, this is Helicopter 12. We're inbound to your facility with an ETA, that's estimated time of arrival, of 10 minutes. We have a 7-year-old male, about 30 kilograms, or 60 pounds, of weight. Child is unconscious and unresponsive. We have a reported history of diabetes. We believe he hasn't had his insulin for the last 48 hours. DJ couldn't catch all the rest. Slowly he sank against the safety belts and closed his eyes. "Please," he whispered, "let Roger be all right." He didn't open them until he felt the helicopter settle upon the helipad. That's a special place on the hospital where it could land. DJ saw the emergency team rushing towards the chopper. The pilot's hand moved rapidly as he shut down the engines. He grinned at DJ. "Well, we beat the storm, and the little kid's still alive. We've done all we can. Let's hope it's enough." I hope it's enough. But that is the end of chapter 12. So I'll have to wait till tomorrow to see if Roger is going to be okay. This was an exciting chapter. I'm sure glad they got that fire out. Well, I just want to tell you again, I love you. I really do. But more importantly, God loves you, and He always will. So, hope you're having a good day or night whenever you're watching this, and I'll be reading the next chapter to you tomorrow. Good night.